Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Styles After Dark. Yeah, I know. That was horrible. I wanted to do something a little different because I have so much energy right now. Today's going to be a freaking great episode. I just want y'all to know, happy Wednesday. Today, we are having a beautiful, blessed Wednesday. Y'all hear me? And if you're not watching this on a Wednesday, that's okay because every day is a blessed day. Am I right? Oh, am I wrong? So, a few things before we get started. We are about to start a series, you guys. We're about to start an epic journey here at Styles After Dark. And it's going to be a series, it's going to be an addition, and it's going to be inspiring. And I hope you guys can come along the road for it. I pre-recorded this video. It was going to be called The Lonely Chapter, and it still is. And I was like, I don't love it. And I wasn't feeling me. I wasn't feeling true. I wasn't feeling authentic. And I got a little bummed out. And then it's just funny how life works. God works in mysterious ways. The universe works in mysterious ways. It's so funny how I was going to put this episode out. And then all of a sudden, this week, I have so much more energy, so much more inspiration, so many more ideas. I realized that I want to make The Lonely Chapter a series because right now where I'm in my life, I feel like I'm entering a lonely chapter. I was in a lonely chapter a few months ago and I'm back in it again. And I just want to really make this a series. And I got all these ideas and all this creativity just fueling in me. And I was like, I need to act on this. I need to carry it on. I feel like a lot of the women, girlies, if you're a man listening to this, I feel like you guys are gonna love it. And I'm just so excited. So I really wanted to put that out there. Of course, I want to ramble a little more before we get fully started and dive into this episode. I am using a present that my dad got me for the very first time, and it's so cute. Back when we drank wine on Styles After Dark, he thought I was still doing that going forward, and so he got me this little platter for when I have guests on the show or even by myself, and it says Sofia Styles After Dark, and you can put your little, I'm using it for a soda. I got a soda. I went to a Greek food. I am on one right now. I promise I am just running off of Greek food and soda. So there are a few questions I'm going to be answering at the end of the video if you sent in a question. So stay tuned. You guys already know, get your snacks, get your popcorn, get your wine, get your Coke. We are hopping into the Lonely Chapter series. This is the first episode going into it. I feel like a lot of us might be in the lonely chapter. Eventually, we might enter that season of our lives again. Or, it might be coming soon. If you're not in it, it might be hitting you. But don't worry. The big emphasis that I want to have on this, being alone is a gift. Being lonely is a gift. Being single is a gift. Most times, being alone, entering a quote unquote lonely chapter, it's typically seen in such a negative light. And I want to come and talk about why it's not today. I want to dive into why being alone is so sacred and it's amazing and beautiful and it's a gift, and we should sit in it and enjoy the ride while we're in it. And I want to take you guys on that ride with me because I am in my lonely chapter and I didn't know I was going to be in it. Also, before we get further into all of it, I want to just say this out loud. I respect everyone and their beliefs. I am someone who believes that everyone has the right to have their own opinions, their beliefs, and I have my own beliefs and my own opinions. I will be sharing some things about God, about my beliefs. If I'm being honest, it's a big part of my life, and so I don't want to. I don't know. I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable. So you can feel lonely and feel like you're going into a season of loneliness, like an outsider, while in a relationship and also while single. So I don't want to make this episode about just you must be lonely or you must only be going through this season if you're single, because that's not true. And when I said that I was feeling lonely a few months ago, I was actually still in a relationship. I remember feeling like an outsider. I remember feeling out of place, even while in a relationship. And it had nothing to do with that person. It had everything to do with what I was going through. This is a chapter where I'm focusing on myself and I'm growing and I'm evolving and I'm wanting to change and I'm wanting to soak up. Because if a relationship doesn't work out, one, it doesn't work because it's just not meant to be, but also because I am meant to be in this season of life by myself. So you get the best of both worlds, okay? And remember, you guys, take it or leave it. This advice is just based on my experience. Take what you want, leave what you don't want, and let's move forward. I want to talk about what feels like. And if you're feeling this, you might know what I'm talking about. It kind of feels like you don't fit in anywhere. I describe it as a box, like you're in a cube and you're sitting in the middle of this cube and you look to the left, you look to the right, you look up, you look down. Social media actually plays a huge part into this. When I'm in this cube or this box, I'm looking around everywhere and I see everyone else, everyone in my life, everyone on Instagram, everyone on social media, the people I see in the grocery store, the people smiling, the conversations I hear, the friends I see having lunch while I'm walking by, feel like I don't have any of it. It's a feeling that I don't fit in. It's a feeling that I'm craving. It feels like I'm missing out and I don't have what they have. What plays into this so much is comparison. Comparison is the thief of joy. It really is. A few months ago, when I was feeling this way, my friends were really freaking busy, and I have family, but my dad's side of the family, they're all in Seattle. And my mom lives like 5 minutes away from me, but it was tax season for her and she was really busy. Family just can be distant at times. And my family in Seattle, I can always call them, but I just felt lonely. My friends, again, they're so amazing. I value my friendship so much, but everyone's just at different places in their life. In this moment in time, it just felt like I wasn't fitting anywhere. And even though I was in a relationship isn't meant to to fulfill you. So, and I feel like sometimes they're like, "Oh, well you had a boyfriend, like why were you lonely?" But that's not really it. Like you're in charge of that feeling. You're in charge of that mindset. I guess it's just a lot of comparing because I was comparing my life so much and I was like, "Oh, well this friend group is traveling to that place and these friends are going to lunch every day. They're going on a vacation together with their family." And then I'm sitting here and I'm like, "Dang, I feel like I don't have any of that. I feel like I can't even get one of my friends to go to lunch with me." And I know that sounds pretty silly because it's like you can't even get one of your friends to go to lunch with you. And it has nothing to do with that. People get busy and that's okay. And there's seasons of that. And sometimes instead of dwelling on the negative, maybe I shouldn't have been comparing so much. Maybe I should have been thinking, oh, what is this teaching me? Maybe I should be focusing more on myself. Maybe I need to pour into myself. Maybe, the universe, God is wanting me to be secluded, wanting these people to have their own lives and for me to kind of be in this solitude era. Even if you're in a relationship, I'm not saying like break up with your boyfriend or stop hanging out with him or anything. Even while in a relationship, maybe you need to pour into yourself. Maybe you've been slacking on the gym or on your mental health, or maybe there's some areas where you could be working on yourself or bettering yourself. And that should always be a positive. That should always be something to look forward to and always be something. And that's where I really want to shed light on that. Being alone or feeling lonely is a gift because life is chaotic. Sometimes there's seasons where there's so much going on, and every weekend we have a baby shower and it's Mother's Day coming up. It's just so busy. So when there was a season a few months ago where I was not everything was just so calm. It's almost like instead of appreciating it, instead of sitting in it, instead of utilizing it, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm lonely. My friends don't have time for me. My family doesn't live here. Negative, negative, negative. Gloomy, gloomy it's raining. And on top of it, I just kept digging myself a bigger hole and spiraling and getting in my head. And that's never bueno. It's not bueno, girl. We don't want to be in that. We do not want to be there. And that's where I was. And it's really hard to get out of that too. I don't know if I'm ready to open up about certain things that I have that I've found out through therapy, but I definitely feel like some of my mental health plays into that, which doesn't help. And we're putting the glasses on. Yes, we are. I don't know about you guys, but when I'm also in my head and overthinking and digging this deeper hole, I start pointing the finger at myself. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I am not fun to be around. Maybe I'm worthless. I mean, that sounds so extreme, but that's what happens when you're an overthinker. And that's what happens when you dwell on the negative and you don't see the bigger picture. And this outlook when you're in this season of life is I feel like we start to settle for things that come into our life and just be like, oh, well, because I don't want to be alone, I'm going to invite this person into my life that doesn't fulfill my needs. Even it doesn't even have to do with relationships, you guys. It can be friendships too. You almost become desperate. It's kind of funny because my brain, there's a war in it. Shout out to my overthinkers. Shout out to the people who might be hearing me, feeling what I'm speaking. I hope there's one of you that can really relate right now. But sometimes in here, in this head, I'm going back and forth. It's a work in progress for me. I'm still working on that. I was starting to become desperate. I was telling myself, I was like, it's okay if this is happening. It's okay if my friends are busy. That doesn't mean my friends are fake. Doesn't mean that I'm lonely. It doesn't mean that my family isn't close. It doesn't mean that family doesn't mean the world to me. And just because my friends are in their careers and they're so busy with life and they have their own things going on, doesn't mean that I need new friends or that I need a distraction that might not be good for me or that I need to invite people in my life just to have people surrounding me all the time. My brain was telling me when it was in the negative zone, a part of it knew better. It was like, no, like this is okay. You got your people. You don't need anything more. You're in your 20s, Sophia. You're an adult now. This is what life is. It's just great. Like I feel like every 3 to 6 months I look back at the past few months and I feel like there's just so much growth and I don't know if anyone can relate to that either. It's like in your 20s or in your 30s, wherever you are in life, I just feel like you're learning and you're growing. You're able to look back even 6 months ago and just be like, wow, I was a completely different person. Looking back, I just wish I would have not wish I would have known what I know now because now I know what I know. I don't know if that made sense. I was stressing and overthinking and everything and just comparing. And whenever I feel that way again, I now know that is not, I do not do that. You do not do that, Sophia. Let's not do that. Let's not sink in the negativity and let's not go on social media and compare ourselves to everyone else's life and compare ourselves to where everyone else is at and seeing that there's people getting married and seeing that there's people, having babies and there's people traveling and there's people thriving in their careers. Not doing that no more. So I want to talk about how we're going to switch to that mindset and how I got myself out of that. And even being single now, I want to dive into being single and what that is and how amazing it is and how it doesn't have to be a negative. What are the steps? How are we going to change this thinking? How are we going to really look at this as a blessing and a way of what is this teaching me? What is the lesson? We have to look at it differently, right? We ain't lonely, honey. And I don't know if anyone has ever said this. I'm not Googling it. I'm just going to make my head big and tell myself that I made this up. I call this the calm before the rainbow. And the reason I replaced calm before the storm, because what happens after there's rain and a storm? There's a rainbow. Usually, when people say, oh, it's the calm before the storm, it kind of has like a negative outlook. But what I want to say is, it's the calmness before the rainbow. So, this is going to be, there's going to be quietness. It's going to be lonely, but lonely is amazing, but lonely is a gift. And it's going to be something where after this season, after you dive into yourself, look at the bigger picture and see what is this showing me, there's going to be a rainbow. There always is. And that's how I look at things. What is God teaching me? What is the lesson here to be learned? Step 1. I learned this in therapy because my overthinkers out there, people who dig themselves in holes, is that we're always either in the future or in the past and never in the present. And it's kind of like grounding yourself. If you catch yourself thinking about something in the future, or if you're dwelling on the past, if you're worrying about something that hasn't happened yet, then you're not living in the present. And if you're thinking about how you could have done things differently, which is great to reflect, of course, but you're really dwelling, then you're not living in the present. So it's really important to be in the now, to be in where we are right now, be present. I catch the thought, I become aware of it, and then you analyze it. And ask yourself that question right now if you're in this season. Why are you feeling lonely? Is it any of the things I said? I feel you. Is it different things? Analyze it. Literally analyze it, journal it, do what you got to do, but really ask yourself what it is. And also, like I said earlier, what is this preparing me for? Am I lacking somewhere? Because I recently was going through a breakup, and now I'm single and I'm entering the lonely chapter. But like I said earlier in the beginning of this episode, there's a reason for that. That doesn't mean breakups don't suck. There's a reason that I'm in a season now where I'm single again and where I'm alone. And instead of sitting here and asking why I'm not in that relationship, I'm not going to think like that because I know that God wants me to be alone. If, honey, if you were supposed to be so busy and be traveling and doing the hoo ha hee hee yak ka ka kiki, you would be. Unless it's like you're just like not prioritizing it, that's different. Like what we got to work on, girl? What is it? What do we got to work on? There is so many things that I'm turning around and I'm like, I should be focusing on myself. And right now, I know I'm supposed to be alone. So I'm not looking for a relationship. I'm not looking for anything. I'm looking to grow. I'm looking to become a better, really enjoying the process, especially if you are under 30 and you're listening to this, especially, okay? Because what? Like we are in our 20s, honey. Like there's so much work to do, so much to learn, so much to experience, and we need to learn ourselves. And as much as we think we know ourselves, we really don't. And I realize too, half the time, if we get put into this season, we don't like it. Why don't we like it? And there's your answer to why you should be in this season. If there's something rubbing you the wrong way about being lonely, maybe you need to learn how to be alone. Maybe you need to learn how to be by yourself and get to be comfortable with the calmness before the rainbow, because you can't have the rainbow before the calm. Okay? Her, slay, kitty, meow. I don't even know if I'm going to keep that in there. And if I do, that's wild. That's what my brain is like. Yeah. Something is happening. You are supposed to be alone. You are supposed to be learning yourself. This is a gift, and you need to really appreciate it, because there is not going to be another time where we don't know. We don't know. In 2 weeks, you might meet the love of your life, and that was the last time that you were ever single. We're never going to get a time back where we're just by ourselves and nothing is going on. You just get to eat snacks, put on a show, and not worry about anything. If you don't have kids and you're just alone, or you live by yourself, or you don't have friends right now, and maybe it's not because they're busy, maybe it's because you guys aren't getting along. There is something better coming. There is always something better coming. Have faith. And that is what keeps me going, is my faith. Over time, as my relationship with God has built and I have followed Jesus and God, I have received nothing but blessings. I look back at my life without God and there was nothing. Like, yeah, life was good, but what I have now, my faith gives me my strength, a greater outlook in these times of my life. Girlies, there's never going to be another time, so enjoy it. Really do. And remember, stop comparing yourself when you're in it. Realize it. Are you in the present, the past, or the future? Analyze it. Ask yourself those questions. Write them down. Journal it. It might help. It's helped me before. And remember that there's a reason this is happening. And there are probably areas that you need to work on. And you can only do that with calmness, with quietness, with being alone. And this series, I'm going to go into breakups, dealing with breakups, being single, loving yourself, the lonely series, y'all. It's going to bring so much, and I'm so excited. So let's answer the questions before we wrap up this video. How did you stay strong in the hard days during your lonely period? My faith. God has something bigger and better for me. Also, validating those feelings too. It's okay to have hard days. It's okay to hug yourself and be like, you know what? Today was a hard day. I see that, I feel that, and I'm okay. And I if I need to cry it out, if I need to shed a tear, if I need to hug myself a little harder today, that's okay and do it. But remind yourself that bigger things are coming. Another one is, why are you so cute? I love you. Mwah. Kisses. The last one is, what do you do if you're craving male attention, but also know that you need to be alone and heal? LMAO. That's what she said. So this one's good. I really want to answer this because I feel like it's so easy, especially when you're in a season of loneliness, that we are human. Humans want validation. Naturally, we want to feel loved. We want to feel good. And sometimes we want to go and get that. And what keeps me from doing that when I know that I shouldn't be doing that, or I want it, but I should still be focusing on myself. I don't know about y'all, but I'm trying to find my person. What I tell myself is, if I go and get male validation, or if I go and have like a little kiki with somebody, it is now going to steer me away from finding my actual person. It is going to prolong the process of maybe my healing. I am focusing on myself, one, for me, and two, to eventually have everything that's supposed to be in my life, whether it's my person or friendships that are meant to come into my life or blessings. So that's what I do when I know that I'm just gonna go like, when I know I just want a little attention, a little fun, a little kiki. I'm like, not, because if I make this decision or have a little funsies, then it's gonna affect my path to that blessing. And so that's what keeps me staying in my little bubble. I'm like, but of course, do what you want. No choice is the wrong choice. Life is about learning and learning from your mistakes. Not even that would be a mistake, but learning, growing, having experiences that teach you things, having fun. And so do what you want at the end of the day, but that's my advice. So that wraps up the questions. Yeah, I really loved this episode. I hope you guys did too. I hope you guys got something out of it. So excited for what's to come. And remember, being alone is a gift, y'all. Thank you guys for tuning in. Remember, if you're watching this on YouTube, like and subscribe to Styles After Dark. And if you are listening to this on Spotify, click the follow button so that you know when we get uploads. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. Peace out, girly pops, manly bops. Sofia Styles, peace out. Mwah.